I was at a prison in Iowa a little while back. Not in prison, at a prison. And the chaplain invited me like a few years ago. He was at a festival and he's like, hey, anyway, you would donate a CD to this ministry where I'm a chaplain at a prison, and these band CDs are in the chapel library, and these inmates can check them out. I'm like, I'll give you a CD on one condition. He's like, what's that? If I can come play. He's like, done, right? So it took about 6 months to actually make that happen because of laws and stuff like that. But I got there. It was my first experience there. And the plan was to play two different sessions. And so they're like, if these inmates are on a certain level of behavior leading up to it, they can come to this. If not, they will stay where they always are. And I'm like, okay. So I get there and I walk up, and of course, your first time to actually go inside a prison to do things, you walk up and it's a little intimidating because you got 20-foot high, chain link and barbed wire, but multiple layers of that. And then you hear these gates open. You're like, what am I doing? And so you walk in, those shut behind you and lock, and then the other gates, whatever, and you walk in, you're like, okay, and they're like, oh, familiar face, there's a chaplain. Hey man, what's up? He's like, all right, you ready for this? I'm like, I don't know, let's go. So we go in and I go through the process, sign in, leave all of my valuables, my phone, my keys, my wallet, my whatever. I go through this locked door, I go through a metal detector, I get frisked by an armed guard, I go through other locked doors, they send mirrors up inside my guitar to make sure there's nothing in there. It's a pleasant experience or whatever, and I finally get in there, and the first session was about 220 guys in the first session. There's inmates on the floor sitting Indian style, there's armed guards around the perimeter or whatever, and so the first session was a little just kind of like, I'm like, ugh. So I just played whatever songs I kind of wanted to, and I was trying to make eye contact with every single person, even the ones that didn't want to make eye contact, or the ones that were making too much eye contact. So you're like, the whole time you're like, okay, this is fine, we're good. Jesus is with me, or whatever. And so by the time the second session rolled around, I was feeling more comfortable, right? And so your phrase, "You don't stop that song in the middle," made me think of the story. And then us talking about the prison in Mansfield, that also made me think of that. But I was hanging out, talking, and for whatever reason, I thought this would be a good idea. Can you take me higher to a place where blind men see? Can you take me higher? And you create it up a little more. To a place where golden streams is pulled down. Oh, come on, let's pull down. Anyway, I played that and it stopped, right? And this guy in the front was like, play the rest of the song. And I'm like, I was kidding. He's like, come on, man, play the rest of the song. I'm like, I don't know. He's here, Indian style, right? I was like, I don't know a whole Creed song. I was kidding around. He's like, I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm like, lesson learned, got it, or whatever. So I gotta keep going. And I'm talking, hanging out, playing songs, and then later on, of course, it doesn't matter if you're in church, it doesn't matter if you're at a school, at a bar, praise some freebird, right? Always. So he immediately stands up. He probably doesn't know the whole song! Literally. And so, of course, if I leave here tomorrow, I didn't do it. Anyway, I learned a valuable lesson there. One, don't mess around with the songs you play in prison. And don't ever play part of a Creed song. You never know if a person's gonna like it or hate it or whatever. So I say I learned a lesson, but the other night I was in Sheridan, Wyoming, and when there's children at a show, I normally, let me just put it, I played part of a song, right? And I tried to get this little girl to sing along with me, and she's like burying her head in her dad's shoulder or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem, whatever. I go on about my business, right? And so the first verse of the next song that I played, she's just screaming and weeping, right? I'm like, no way, I embarrassed her so bad. I feel terrible. And she just like keeps bawling, and I played that song. I'm like, I can't just stop in the middle of a song and apologize to her because that's gonna embarrass her anymore. And so I'm like, oh no, I feel terrible, right? And so she bawled for the next 3 songs, and like the dad was like passed her off to the mom, and she passed the kid back. I'm like, I feel terrible. Anyway, finally she stopped crying at the last song. I played the last song and I'm done, right? I turn around, put my guitar down, and I turn around and she's standing there. I'm like, hey, I'm so sorry. She's like, you didn't play the whole song. I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, you didn't play the whole song. I'm like, I thought I embarrassed you. And the dad's like, nope, she wanted you to play the whole song. And when you didn't, that's what happened. I'm like, what? Anyway. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome. You're living on a dream. That's what I played, and she lost her mind, right? Anyway, hopefully that won't happen again. What's that? That wasn't my kids, right? Different kids? Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome. When you live in a dream. There are things that you do in your life that you regret. There are things that end up on Facebook or YouTube that you regret, and you can't take it back. So then you just have to deal with like, oh dude, man, the other day I was searching on YouTube to check out your music, man. I ran across this video of you, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no way. So what I did was, I made another mistake, and I dedicated a song to this husband and wife in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I thought they would like the song, because it's a song I did not write. I did not write this song. But here's what happened. This next song is dedicated to Teddy and Carla. This is what happened. Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and think of you. Caught up in circles, confusion is nothing new. Flashback, warm nights, almost left behind. Suitcase of memory. Time after sometimes you picture me, I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling to me and I can't hear what you said. You say go slow, I'm fall behind. The second hand unwinds. You lost, you can look at, you will find me. Time after time, before I will catch you, I'll be waiting. Time after time, if you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time, before I will catch you, I will be waiting. Time after time, time after time, time after time, all of Marion sings. Time after time, So at the end of the set, I'm standing at the merch table, and Teddy and Carla just appear, and I'm like, hey, she's like, Carla leans over the table, and is like, why did you dedicate that song to me? I'm like, what? She's like, I cannot stand Cyndi Lauper, I hate that song. I'm like, wait, what? And in the beginning, I'm like, I cannot believe she doesn't like that song. What's wrong? That probably was their song in high school or something, you know, whatever. And then I'm like, who says that to someone? It's super nice of you to dedicate a song to us when you saw us. It's just really cool. It's a way to say thank you for following our band, or, you know, around for the past 15 years type thing all over Texas. But instead, it's like, why'd you dedicate that song to me? I hate it. And I'm like, oh. So I started telling stories about it. Like, here's what you don't do. You don't play a song and assume someone might like it or whatever. Because 3 months later, I got a message from Carla saying, thanks so much for dedicating that song to me. I love it. I'm like, okay. So then I move on later on. I'm still telling stories about them all over the world. And I got to thinking, like, Facebook and YouTube are pretty powerful. What if they're cruising around checking out YouTube videos of me talking about them at a show in Germany or something, right? And so I sent a message like, hey, do you remember 2 years ago when I dedicated time after time to you? You said you hated it. 3 months later, you said you loved it. Anyway, I've been telling the story about it. He's like, oh, you're so sweet. You and your sweet family. Yeah, that's our song now. And so then it was like, it's their song. It's their Love of a Lifetime by Firehouse type thing, you know? And so I thought it was cool. Look into my eyes and you will see what you mean to me. Search your heart, search your soul. When you find me there, you'll search no more. You can't tell me it's not worth trying for. You can't tell me it's not worth dying for. You know it's true. Everything I do it for you. I'm gonna be here for you, baby. I'll be a man of my word. Speak the language in a voice that you have never heard. I wanna sleep with you forever. I wanna die in your arms, in a cabin by the meadow where the wild beasts swarm. And I'm gonna love you like nobody loves you. I'll earn your trust, making memories of us. I wanna honor your mother. I wanna learn from your pa. I wanna steal your attention like a bad outlaw. I wanna stand out in a crowd for you, a man among men. I wanna make your world better than it's ever been. And I'm gonna love you like nobody loves you. Trust, making memories of us. We'll follow the rain started from now on. This you know somehow. You've been stretched to the limits, but it's alright now. I'm gonna make you this promise: if there's life after this, I'm gonna be there to meet you with a warm, wet kiss. And I'm gonna love you like nobody loves you, and I'll earn your trust, making memories